This is another regular Real Mom day in the life. You can see the dishes in the background. Real people live in this house. Real family eats in this kitchen. Getting my coffee going. So first I'm gonna put the water in the kettle. Beans in the grinder. Turn it on. Topeka is a Tulsa roastery. We actually have these in some of our grocery stores around here, but sometimes my husband actually just picks them up in the shop. This thing is called a Clever, and I just put the little filter in here and then dump the coffee grounds in. The water is done. It takes less than 2 minutes to heat up. Pour it into the Clever and let it sit for about 2 minutes. And then this thing is spring loaded on the bottom. So when you set it on your cup, it starts to drain the brewed coffee into the cup, but leaves the grounds behind in the Clever dripper. I never thought we'd be like bougie coffee drinkers, but here we are. I cut the top of my finger somehow last night. I have no idea how I did it. That's another thing that happens as you get older. You hurt yourself and you don't remember when it happened or how you did it. It is not the crack of dawn. It's actually already almost 8 o'clock. I think I rolled out of bed around 7:15 or so. We have a fantastic carpool situation for band going on with another friend of ours. So Ruthie got a ride to the crack of dawn band rehearsal this morning. And I'm gonna say something that is probably going to bend some people out of shape. The 5 a.m. morning routine is overrated. A few years back, we started seeing all these videos pop up, especially shorts, about their like 5 a.m. morning routines, 4:30 a.m. morning routines. And if that's something you enjoy doing, great. But I think there are certain people that are made for that. And then there are some of us who are not. And I am saying that as a morning person. I am most productive in the morning, just not the wee small hours of the morning. I turned 42 this summer, like a month ago. And one of the things I've noticed in the past 2 or 3 years, as I hit 40 and got over that hump, is that the quality of my sleep has suffered some, and it is no longer a guarantee that I'm gonna get a good night's sleep just by carving out the hours. And the other thing I've noticed is I don't recover as well from a poor night's sleep as I did, when I was like in my 20s or early 30s. You know this, if you've raised kids, if you've had babies in those ages, like we're pretty sleep deprived through that. And I feel like I function so much better then than I do now if I have a crappy night's sleep. We got a lot of mowing going on this morning. I'm having to be strategic on my filming out here. So I typically get up sometime between 6 and 7, and sometimes between 7 and 8 if I'm particularly tired. And a few years ago, I went down this rabbit hole of, watching all the 4:30 a.m., 4 a.m. mom morning routines and played the comparison game and started to feel bad about myself. Like, oh, I'm lazy and I'm not getting enough done. And that is just ludicrous. I have worked for the past 6 years to build this business that gives me the flexibility to work from home and to make my own schedule. So why in the world am I trying to force my body to do this thing that it does not want to do, get up at 4 a.m. and then be exhausted the rest of the day? Again, not to say that there's anything wrong with that if that's what your body likes and what you function at the best. I'm just here to tell you that if you are a person who has struggled with the super early mornings and comparing yourself to other people with their morning routines, don't. For some of us, it's just unrealistic. It is not sustainable. Sleep is super important, and I myself have been trying to prioritize that as I get older. And yes, my heart goes out to those who have to be out the door early. I taught school for 11 years, and there are a lot of things that I miss about being out of the classroom. But being at school at 7 in the morning is not one of them. So I guess that sounds a little harsh, but what I'm trying to say is find what works for you. Like, it's great to watch videos like this and vlogs and, follow different accounts and things for ideas, but not everything that works for somebody else is going to work for you, and that's okay. And also, I'm no doctor, but since we talked about 5 a.m. morning routines being overrated, I truly think sleep and sleep quality is one of the most underrated aspects of overall health, and I'm really trying to get better at it. The only bad thing about these days when I get a later start is that I missed the cooler couple of hours in the morning for walking. It's pretty warm. We're supposed to have a cool down this weekend, but It's already well over 80 degrees. Well, it feels over 80 degrees because of the heat index that's going up into the 90s, and it'll probably feel like over 100 today because of the humidity. So, come on, fall, come on, babe. I was just telling the audience here how I think 5 a.m. morning routines are overrated. You probably don't know this because you're not as much of a social media consumer, but like this whole what I do when I get up at 4:30 in the morning was like a trend for a long time, and like the productivity, getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning.
Sounds terrible. Why are people getting up at 4:30?
Because it's like productivity. They have to feel like they're accomplishing more. And some people, I guess, are just really early morning people. I am a morning person, but not like, we figured out we're not 5 a.m. morning people.
Yeah. I mean, we've done it. I used to do it a lot.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that because we were talking about how you used to have to get up at 4:30 because your work schedule was so full. That was the only time. Yeah. And you've remarked to me lately, like, how much nicer it is to just have a normal workload. And then you can fit those things in, you know, regular times of the day. I realized a few years back that I have a problem with productivity as an idol. As in, I assign way too much value to productivity and draw way too much of my own personal worth and my own value as a human being from what I'm able to accomplish in a day. And having these slower mornings and these softer days has required both my husband and myself in the past few years to really take a long, hard look at that and to be more realistic about what we can accomplish and also what we can do well. Because if we're trying to do too many things, then nothing is really getting done with excellence, you know? I mentioned this in my last video about pruning some of our activities, learning to say no to a few things so that we can create more margin in our lives. And I gotta say, I think it's kind of countercultural. Like, we've had to really fight against the urge to fill every space in our calendar and our agenda for the day. But when we are committed to that, and when we take a long, hard look at that and be honest with ourselves about where we are and what we can do, it has definitely paid dividends. I mean, it has paid off. We feel better, we feel more rested, we feel like we have more opportunity for rest and rejuvenation and restoration, and in turn that actually makes our productivity go up. I think it's kind of a balancing act. It's a fine line to walk because you don't want to veer off into like laziness or to develop a poor work ethic, but at the same time we don't want to work ourselves to death. Coffee number 2. Yeah. Today I am doing a lot of planning for YouTube. Just in case you're stumbling onto this and you don't already know, this is actually my hobby channel. My primary channel, See Mindy Mom, is mostly like cooking and grocery shopping content, and I approach that, you know, as my job, which it is my job. It's a small business that I am running, so it takes a lot of time and planning, and I purposely cleared the queue last week. Like, I cleared the cache. I had 3 different video projects I was working on for that channel that I finished up so that I could take this week off from filming for that channel. And yes, I'm still filming some vlogs, but that's really a lot easier in my opinion than what I do over on that other channel. So I am working on just like what I'm gonna film over the next month. The $5 crock pot video that I put up a few days ago was really popular. People really liked it. So I'm working on another one of those. And I gotta tell you, those are among the hardest videos that I produce, the budget videos. It takes a lot of time and planning, making all of the pieces fit together just right to fall within a really tight budget. I also have another video over there on my primary channel on See Mindy Mom going live today. And I like to watch those videos back as soon as they post. I think I mentioned that in my last vlog. Also, this one's sponsored, so I like to make sure that all the links are working correctly and that everything just looks good, because if something's wrong, I can still pull it down really quickly in those first few minutes and fix it and then put it back up. I've thought about doing a video, and I guess I could probably do it and produce it here, put it up here on the vlog channel, taking you through from start to finish, like what a sponsored video entails. Because sponsorships are a way that I can earn money for my channel, for my primary channel, for my family, but still keep the content free to the viewer to watch. And I'm particular about my sponsorships. I vet the sponsors and do the best I can to find things that I like, that I think are useful, that I think have value. I've actually said no to several just in the past couple of months. But it adds, you know, a lot of extra layers to the work. It adds extra deadlines, it adds extra deliverables. and it adds, you know, extra bookkeeping. And sometimes it takes a long time for creators to actually get paid for the work that they do. I think the longest it's ever taken a company to pay me is 10 months. And I am very grateful that a few years back, I signed with a management firm. I'm actually wearing one of their t-shirts right now that helps me with sponsorships. Like, they manage the contracts and work with the brands and secure the best rates and things for me. And that helps some with it. But you know, it's still kind of an interesting part of the job that I've had to learn about as I go, because it's not like I started a YouTube channel 6 years ago thinking, oh, this is going to be my full-time job. It's definitely been a big surprise. But I think a lot of people in general are surprised to find out how much work goes into this kind of job when you are, you know, turning it into a business and turning it into a livelihood. It's not just like, hey, turn on the camera and start filming. Like, there's a lot of work that you don't see. I would say that filming is probably less than 20%, maybe less than 15% of the overall hours that I spend producing videos, because there's so much now that goes into the planning, that goes into the editing. I sometimes have an editor that helps me edit, but I've been editing a lot of my own videos lately. That goes into thumbnails and optimization, with engaging with your audience. You know, I mean, it's a job. It's a job. If you want it to be something that earns an income for your family, it's a job. It is not easy money. Contrary to popular belief, maybe it's not so popular anymore as this has become more of a thing for people, but like, making a career, making a job out of YouTube, making an income from it, it is a job. And I think now content creation in general, not just for people's own personal brands, but on behalf of other companies, like larger companies, people are starting to hire like digital content creators to put out content for their social media platforms and stuff for their businesses. Like, I think people are realizing like, oh, this is like a legitimate job. There's a lot of work that goes into it. But I have been invited to speak at several like high school career days, and I am a dream crusher, okay? I am crushing those kids' dreams when I talk about how much work goes into this job. It is not something you do if you want easy. It's not easy. I am trying to grow my hair out. This is the longest it's been in years, and I have gotten a little bit better at blowing it out, and you like using like the Velcro rollers, and then using my Laduo to kind of put some waves in it occasionally, but it's just too hot. I'm just gonna pull it back. And the grand tradition of me trying to grow my hair out, it's at that stage where it's super annoying because it's not short and it's not long, and I'm about ready to chop it off again. Another warm day means another dinner going in the crock pot. We're gonna have these crock pot jalapeno popper pulled chicken sandwiches, so I'm getting those going in the slow cooker. This recipe's coming from Lazy Day Cooking Club. I've made it so many times. Carrie doesn't use ranch mix, she just uses regular like garlic salt, but I'm just gonna sprinkle this over the chicken and use that to season it. I don't quite have all the ingredients, but I just need to get the chicken and the seasoning and the jalapenos going, and I can add the other things later when I pick up my grocery order. Here I am at Home Depot. Said every homeowner ever. Another reason why I want to try to get into this rhythm where I have like heavy work weeks for YouTube, like I do a bunch of filming in 1 week and then like take another week off, or like I'll probably do like 2 weeks on, 1 week off, or just like 1 week a month at least where I'm not doing a ton of filming. Anyway, one of the other reasons is because I have a lot of projects around my house that I like to work on. I feel like we have sort of punted on doing just some like upgrades and upkeep. I mean, we've kept up with the basic maintenance, you know, doing, you know, HVAC and basic repairs and cleaning the carpets and obviously, you know, keeping the house tidy and a little bit of declutter and reorganization from time to time. But we are in our 7th year now in our current home. And we're kind of like a lot of other millennial homeowners in that we are locked in at such a low interest rate that we're not sure we're ever going to leave this house. But it didn't start out that way, you know? When we first bought this house, we thought, okay, the kids are young, we're going to live in this house when they're young, and when they're teenagers, we're probably going to want something different. And we're in a very reasonable market, but not so reasonable that we want to leave 2.5% for like 7%. So all that's to say, it's kind of time to like do some basic updates. Like, it's time to sort of systematically do a few projects. Some of them are bigger, like, you know, a kitchen update. Some of them are smaller, just like, you know, repainting shutters in the front door and things like that. Today, I'm looking for a china box, you know, like a box for packing your dishes, because I want to pack up my china to free up that cabinet because I'm hopefully going to move my china to a china cabinet if I ever get around to buying one. That's like one of my things on my list over the next year, is to find a small china hutch. I don't know why I'm telling you guys that. It's just like one of the, that's not even like the biggest project, but that's why I'm at Home Depot today, because eventually I want to buy a china hutch, and in my head this makes sense. You guys probably thought I was going to say I'm here to pick out new paint so we can paint something. And no, we are not do-it-yourself painters. We never have been, but especially now. I can spot a do-it-yourself paint job in houses that we've gone and looked at, and I'm like, no, like when it's time, we'll have somebody, like a professional, come and like mask it professionally and caulk it professionally and paint it professionally. I'm here to buy a dish box, and actually I'm not going to buy the dish box because it's outrageously expensive, and I'll just like pack them in a regular box myself for short-term storage. I don't know what I was thinking. I just picked up my Walmart grocery order, so I'm able to add the last few ingredients to the crock pot here. I added half a block of cream cheese, 4 ounces, and then some cooked chopped bacon. And since I'm, late to the party with that, I went ahead and just bought the already cooked bacon and cut it up and stuck it in there. And in about an hour, I'll be ready to shred all of this up and stir it together with some cheddar cheese. And we can put it on little buns. You can put it in tortillas. We usually eat it on like little slider rolls. And we'll have some fruit and chips, and that'll be dinner tonight. Remember this morning how I didn't have to take Ruthie to band because we're gonna carpool? Well, it's Thursday, and on Thursdays we have band practice in the morning and at night. So here I am, back in the mom van. Here I am once again. I'm waiting in the mom van for my kid. Finish band. I think it's a hit in the making.